is all the physiological response. What do you do? The physiological response we all undergo. So if, for instance, now, if you get up to chase after something, your blood pressure will go up, your heart rate will increase to pump more blood so that you can do what you want to do. And then it will come down after that race or whatever in there. And that's what often affects. When people get older, we all say, oh, I can't do that anymore. It's your physiological response to exertion that aging affects. That's why if you just say, oh, if somebody, let's say you've got a teenage person you want to, who's running away from you, just say, oh, 20 years ago, I will have chased you and I will catch you. Why are you not able to catch the person? Because physiologically, your body can't respond unless you're a trained athlete in there. Right. So you have to keep up that. But as age catches up with all of us, but being inactive makes the effect of aging come across quick and faster. So if you have active, if you see people who live pretty much a old age, the elderly people, well, you'll find out that they're usually very active people. They were not necessarily running marathons or things like that, but they never sit still. They are very active people. And when you tell them, you go to them and say, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. They just look at you and say, okay, Motiba, or something like that. And then they go back and do the same thing because they know they can explain it. And there's I'm just going to kind of try this. We did some study a few years ago. I had one of my PhD students who worked on this, looking at whether we can use exercise to manage people after head injury. And it was based on there is a scientific basis for coming across in terms of that. And what my student did then was to enroll 12 patients. It's a small number of patients, and we ran them through 12 weeks of exercise. These are people with mild and moderate head injury, not the kind of head injury they operated on and anything in there. But there's something we call post-concussional symptoms, which people get after head injury. Fatigue, poor concentration, something similar to what people, brain fog and different things in there. So we ran them through a 12-week program of aerobic activity. All 12 improved. It was so interesting because when we then finished, many of the participants were now saying, no, they want to continue.
Wow.
They want to continue because they notice the improvement in thinking, in functioning, and a lot of all the other things. And this same thing happens in one group of people. And you will find this very interesting. You think of boxers, they get a lot of head injury by virtue of the rule. They get knocked. But what's been protecting most of them is because most of boxing training is aerobic training. A lot of what they do is more aerobic, stamina. The best boxers are not the ones that can receive punches. The best boxers are the ones that can avoid being punched. That's it. Movement. This goes back to what I was talking about. I said, everything in our brain is coded with movement. We think in movement, we talk in movement, we interact with movement. If I'm unable to move any part of my body and you're asking me questions and I can't respond, you're just going to say, oh, I don't think it's particularly sharp. Just because I can't move to respond. I might be able to understand everything you're saying, but the moment that movement component is not there, and I'm talking of purposeful movement, because we exhibit behavior through movement, you act it out. So if all those things go, it has a significant impact. And that's why most of rehab, that's why the physiotherapy component is a big component, which is what everybody knows. So what you're trying to do is get the movement back and get the control back for people to be able to then control it. Then, yes, you might still have some deficits, but you'll be able to function with your deficit.